Welcome to Week in Horror.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The only podcast that will feed your horror need.
The need to feed.
With JL.
Yeah, I'm a fucking masochist. I'll watch that shit.
Eugene.
Somebody has to be the sex symbol. I'm sorry.
Alex.
Shit, I just demonetize this forever.
And Johnny O.
How do you like that shit? Got halfway through the monologue before unmuting myself. Golly, it's one of them fucking days.
With industry guests.
Hi, this is Richard Oakes, Director of Host.
Hey, this is Adam Leader, Director of Host.
This is Matthew Mark Hunter.
I'm Donna Nelly.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
And this is Week in Horror.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
News, trivia, and more.
One by one, we will take you.
Join our live show Wednesdays at 7 Central, youtube.com/weekinhorror, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Week in Horror. Stay scared.
Welcome, horror fans. It's Wednesday, 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. Central Time.
We don't think on the fly here.
That's 7 p.m. Central Time. Close enough. That means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the only podcast that's rooting for the crocodile. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast host, you can join us here for our live show on YouTube so you too can laugh and scream with us, flex your horror knowledge, and maybe even win some trivia prizes. This week, we're covering select films released in horror history between January 9th through January 15th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Eugene, and with me tonight are Alex and JL and Johnny.
Well, I'll go ahead and say hi first.
I was waiting for Alex.
Wait for the stream to catch up, y'all.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, I just want to say really quick, Eugene, happy birthday. I know it's a bit early, but happy birthday anyways.
That's right. Happy birthday, Eugene.
Oh, thank you. And I would like to return the favor and wish Johnny, you a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday to Johnny.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, now you got to sing to him.
And when Alex finally catches up.
I'm like fucking Internet Explorer over here, like happy birthday 3 minutes later.
So tomorrow, Eugene, tomorrow is your birthday, and Saturday is Johnny's birthday.
Yep, and for my birthday, I am shooting a commercial, so that's how I'm going to celebrate.
Sweet.
You still working on the restaurant one?
Yeah, Blue Mesa. It's been a great contract. I don't know if it's nationwide. Obviously, they have it here in Dallas, but they have been a great host, and they keep ordering more and more stuff. So I will definitely oblige.
I was hoping to do like some sort of beer commercial with a bunch of half-naked girls. That way you could kind of pretend like it's a party. You could take a couple of pictures from set with all the happy, like, I'm partying for my birthday. What's up, bitches?
This is what you get right here. And if you're at Blue Mesa down off of Montford and Addison.
Unlike me, because nowadays I used to be able to take time off. It's like, because I'm working 9 to 5. You try to spend, have some fun on my birthday. Now I decided I don't want the 9 to 5 anymore. I'm tired of working for somebody else, so I decided to work for myself, and now I work 24/7. So I'll probably be working on my birthday as well.
I think this is the first year in probably 20 years that that I'm actually going to have my birthday off.
Oh, congrats. Awesome. That'll work.
Yeah, I used to, when I was in the military, because you would have the holiday, so you could go home for the holidays, and then people had to come back around the 2nd or 3rd. So I always kind of figured out ways to tell my command that I didn't want to come back till like the 8th, just so I could spend for my birthday in Dallas. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm having car issues, so I won't be able to come back till the 8th or 9th.
Ian, how many grandmas do you have?
So many grandmas that made Alex just frozen, waiting for all those $12 checks to come through.
It's true. Absolutely. All right. Well, yes, definitely. Thank you. Thank everybody in the live chat for all of those birthday wishes. So many birthday wishes coming in, and we will definitely take a moment to say hello to everybody. And also, we wanted to. I guess I better kick it up here. Boom! There's our patron banner. We have a new patron. We wanted to say hi to him. Our new patron, Boomerstein, has joined the Week in Horror patron family. Thank you so much, Boomerstein.
Thank you, Boomerstein.
Yes,
greatly appreciate it.
Hello, welcome. Thank you.
We do appreciate it. Our patrons help us to make the show here and help us do all the cool stuff, like make movies and stuff, and like show have movie premieres and do the watch parties.
His beard on his face.
Pin the beard on the Alex.
Wow, that was quick. You were right. You're right on top. All right, very good.
It only goes good for about 3 seconds, and then it'll start to lag off. Don't worry.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Alex. You need to grow that shit back out again. Nope. That this cubicle.
Oh no, I had a job interview.
This cubicle look doesn't work for you.
Hey, Peter.
No.
I had a job
interview.
I want to steal his stapler.
No. No, deeper. There were two squirrels, and they were married.
Oh yeah, the ratio of employees to cake. Anyway, so yes, thank you, Boomerstein, for joining the Week in Horror, the Week in Horror patron family. We do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And of course, I think there was another birthday that we have coming up that Alex wanted to mention.
Yes, I did. One of our patrons, one of our very first patrons, Jose Olalde. His birthday is on January 11th, turning 31 this year, I believe. Old like the rest of us now.
Happy birthday, Jose.
Happy birthday, Jose. Awesome. So before we dive in tonight, so there's a couple of
Happy birthday, dude.
There's a couple of things that we need to do. First and foremost, I want to take a moment. Actually, you know what? Let's reverse. Let's switch this up. I'm gonna change this up. First, we're gonna do this because it is time, because it's the top, near the top of the month, to do the bloodbath coin toss.
Hell yeah.
So we're gonna knock out the bloodbath coin toss.
Hold on.
What's up?
Charlie Welch. That's rude. I just.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Oh, damn.
With arms wide open,
I can fly.
With arms wide open.
Charlie Welch says that Alex looks like Scott Stapp without his beard.
I will tell you what, though, the long hair without the beard looks goofy.
You do look like if you were in a band, it would be very much like the days of the Stone Temple Pearl Dog. Kind of like
Simple Pearl Jam.
Bell sounds.
All right, so we are going to do the bloodbath coin toss.
And I got drunk and I lost her and I can't hold on any longer.
So Alex unseated me as the champion. So if you want to hear,
whoa, spoilers!
Hang on,
People haven't watched the bloodbath.
But nobody, but they don't know how he did it. So I'm very curious to get people to go listen how he did it. But nonetheless, it is time for the next time for the next bloodbath debate, and it is Alex versus Johnny.
Oh boy.
Okay, so I have the coin, and I have the conch. No, that's all right. It's a Lord of the Flies reference. So as normal, the state of Texas is heads, and the words in the back, Texas Frightmare, are the tails. So Alex,
really quick,
huh?
Aren't you going to get fined by the state of Oklahoma for flipping that coin?
No, not at all. No, not at all. So Alex, as the champion, as the current standing champion, and Johnny is coming in as the challenger. Alex, you get to choose which one, heads or tails.
Whoa. Before we flip, we got to say what the debate's going to be.
This is true. Yes. Okay. So the next bloodbath debate between Alex and Johnny O will be.
I already forgot, so this is new to me.
Will be Wrong Turn versus The Hills Have Eyes.
You give yourself all the good ones. You give us the bullshit.
This is not a bullshit one. I took Jack Frost versus Krampus.
I know that's fun. That's a fun one. And then before that, you guys had fucking killer clowns and tomatoes.
that was a good debate.
That was a fun one.
Here, Johnny, you can have a bunch of cannibals, whatever.
Actually, I think the very first bloodbath was that me and Alex? Was that me versus Alex, or was that me versus Eugene?
No, it was you and Alex.
And it was Jason versus Fred. Jason versus Michael.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, so here we go. Alex, you get to choose. And the winner of this also, Alex, if you lose, it goes to Johnny. Johnny gets to choose. The winner of this gets to choose who they want to represent in the debate. So call it in the air, Alex.
Tails.
And it's Tails.
Tails never fails.
Tails never fails. So who are you taking, Alex?
It doesn't really fucking.
Yeah, just pick one. It doesn't matter.
You know what? I'm gonna. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna take wrong turn on this one.
Wrong turn?
I've thought not very long and not very hard. And I'm gonna take one.
I mean, wrong turn has more movies.
It does,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of aspects in that I've thought about that might help out. So
it doesn't matter.
All right, so
it doesn't matter.
All right, so the next bloodbath 26.
Get the fuck out of here, really.
Bloodbath 26 will be between Alex and Johnny. Alex has taken the wrong turn.
As always.
Probably the wrong turn into the debate, and Johnny has the hills have eyes. So that's going to be a really, really good one.
It's kind of funny, Alex. It's my people versus your people. How fucked up is that?
Oh, that is kind of true. All right, before we jump into tonight's movies, and I would definitely want to say hi to everybody that's in the chat before we run through. I do want to take a moment because we record a few days before we record on Wednesday, then the show goes to all the podcast sites on the following Sunday. The last episode precluded us knowing that, unfortunately, on December 31st, we would lose a legendary actress, Betty White. And I remember, and I know not a tremendous staple in the horror genre, but she did punch out a horror movie. She was probably one of the best old granny villains in Lake Placid.
Was she really a villain, though?
She wasn't. She fed her husband to a crocodile.
Yeah, but
really, I mean, that's gonna be on the fence.
It wasn't like she just said, "Hey, husband, crocodile, eat." No, it was like, "Hey, pow, all kinds." You know what I mean?
Betty White, more of an anti-hero in that, or I guess more of a hero.
Betty White said the line, and this is the part where if I had a dick, I'd tell you to suck it. Okay? She was a villain.
No, she was great.
No,
but she happened to your husband?
Brilliant.
I killed him.
Granny. That's all she was a mean old granny who was tired of dealing with the bullshit. I wouldn't call her a villain ever. Look, she could come out and play Satan itself, and I would still be like, I know that's the hero of the story right there.
I'm always going to root for Betty White.
This is true. And yeah. Aaron Reed says it's not wrong to cheat a cheater or feed your dickhead husband to an alligator.
True that.
Exactly. It's true. But I definitely wanted to take this moment to remember Betty White. I know all four of us grew up with her, and obviously going back to the Golden Girls is my first memory of her, and then of course her storied career beyond that. Not only through TV. I loved her in Hot in Cleveland. She was absolutely amazing. Her Saturday Night Live appearances were tremendous. Everything she did was just it was just phenomenal. And it was such a shame because we were talking about her 100th birthday was January 17th. And we were literally less than 2 weeks away. And I was sitting in one of my live streams. It was like, we have to protect Betty White at all costs. We have to get her to the 17th. But
I like the thought that she knew that 2021 had to end, so she sacrificed herself to make it happen. Now, there's a theory going around that if it turns out that 2022 is tremendously better than 2021, that means that Betty White died for all of our sins, and she's now the new Messiah.
She is the new Messiah.
I can go with that.
That is far left from what I heard about the Illuminati sacrificing her to Satan. So,
well, either way.
Well, I know we will definitely miss her. She was absolutely hilarious and just a doll and everything. I recently went back and watched one of her Saturday Night Live skits when she was with Kenan Thompson. They were doing the Scared Straight sketch, and when she is trying to beat up on Bill Hader, she's trying to rough him up, and Bill Hader's trying not to fucking crack up. Was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
So, oh man, but we are gonna miss her so much.
Yeah, she was absolutely genius. I actually rewatched one of her skits with Ryan Reynolds, and so she's like sitting there, and they're supposed to like talk together, and Ryan Reynolds like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you," and she's like, "Get me a cup of coffee."
Yeah,
and it's just like, well, listen, I'm not the assistant. I'm not like when Betty White tells you to get a fucking cup of coffee, you get a cup.
Yeah, that was the proposal behind the scenes shit. That was some good stuff.
That was hilarious.
And that part where Sandy Bullock comes over and she's all pretending to be the old frail granny, all the while giving Ryan
the stink eye and everything. Oh, thank you so much, Sandra.
She was so great. Her comedic timing. I don't know of anybody who was able to pull off this type of stuff. She could be intelligent, she could be ditzy, she could be conniving. Her comedic timing is, I mean, if you need to study somebody and how to be funny when not to be funny, and funny when, that's perfect case study right there. Watch Betty White, because her delivery is always on point.
Yeah. Travis Brown said something live. Jay says she is becoming Betty the White, and so I'm surprised that I am Betty the White. I'm surprised that was never a thing after the Lord of the Rings. That joke was never made to dress her up like fucking Gandalf and give her a stab. I am Betty the White. That would have been brilliant.
Yeah, I think so.
You could do like SNL would do. You could intersplice it with scenes from the actual movie and just have her recreate the scene and just shoot her against the green screen and just do all the effects of everything. She comes in and she's got to be and then them reacting to her into it. It would have been brilliant.
Yeah. Absolutely. So she will be missed.
Yep.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Ryan Reynolds is probably devastated.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh yeah. But we do have a couple of horror movies to talk about.
We do have horror movies to talk about, but before we jump into it real quick, I just want to say hi to the individuals in the chat. Just make sure that we say hi to them. And okay, and I'll try to make it as quick as possible. I see Mr. Malort is in the house. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Malort, one of our amazing patrons. Travis Brown, I see you as well. Thank you so much for being here. Sarcasm's in the house, another one of our amazing patrons. Thank you so much. I was just he's lurking at work, currently sheltering. Apparently, it's really cold out there right now. So you guys stay warm wherever you may be. Ivy Gentry's in the house. Good to see you, Ivy Gentry. And Stellarium Celestia says, Mao, good to see you. Surf says the Furries. Oh, wait, read that wrong. Yes, it is the Furies. That's a different movie.
The Furries is next week.
Yeah,
but good to see you.
On the OnlyFans.
Good to see you, Surf, another one of our amazing patrons. Thank you so much. Who else we got in the house? Sir Little Wolf's in the house. Good to see you, Sir Little Wolf. And I saw somebody else. Jinju, there he is. Jinju, good to see you, Jinju. Thank you so much for being here. And Glober Mom, thank you so much for being here as well. Good to see you. Thank you all so much for being here. And there she is, Tina Jones. Good to see you. Tina Jones is also lurking. Good to see you. And I know I saw Charlie Welch. Charlie Welch said it was like -5 out there, where he was like -5 with the wind chill wherever he's at. So definitely stay warm. Oh, that was me. H. Jasper E's in the house, another one of our amazing patrons. Thank you so much, H. Jasper. Thank you for being here. And there's Wrote It No Last Name. Gabba Gabba, back to you, sir. Good to see you. And there's Charlie Welch. Oh, he sent me a picture on Twitter about Vinnie Jones. Oh, I'm curious. I'll definitely have to check that out.
Okay.
Better not be bad news, damn it.
I hope it's not bad news. I like Vinnie Jones. And Cindy Sue. Good to see you, Cindy Sue. Angel Rivera. Good to see you. He says Eugene was born on 3 Kings Day.
That is true.
Yeah, but I was born on the King's Day, so fuck off.
Saturday?
No.
I'm just saying 3's better than 1.
Yeah, but Elvis is better than all 3 of them.
This is too much for me.
Alex just deuced the fuck out. Yeah, I'm sure.
And I'm done.
And Travis Brown. Oh, I like this. Travis Brown says the 4 horsemen of the horror apocalypse are here. Goddamn right we are. All right, and I think I want to make sure. Aaron Reese, good to see you. I know I caught you there. And the George said is in the house. Good. It says, yo, what's going on? No, you're not late. We were just catching up on the previous week before we jump into our selections tonight. Slim Living Cyborg is in the house. Good to see you, Slim Living Cyborg. And I think I got everybody. Did I get everybody? I'm pretty sure I did.
You get Stellarium.
Oh, Chris Durham Music Channel. Good to see you. And Stellarium Celestia. Good to see you. Yeah. I let so much go by that I have to catch up. Now I'm just like scrolling through fast, make sure I try to see. And so Little Wolf would like to say it's -8 here in Alaska.
Yeah.
Tidbit chilly out there.
I remember that temperature last year.
And I think I got everybody. I did. Yay! I never get through it that quick. I always spend like an inordinate amount, like another 10 minutes saying hi to make sure I go every single person. So I'm getting better at it. I'll say this.
The only thing he's missing is a sign that says next stop and then a newspaper. That's all Alex needs.
All right, but thank you to everybody in the live chat. We appreciate y'all being here. This is gonna be an awesome show.
All right.
Awesome. I can't handle it. I gotta go. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate you being here for the coin toss. And definitely an early happy birthday to you. And I'll catch you probably on Friday or something like that. But have a good.
Yep.
Yes, Johnny, I will see you on Friday.
Sorry, me was a good time. That's right. Be jealous, folks. Be very jealous.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be in the chat.
Birthday sex.
We're not that kind of show yet. We haven't even hit episode 200 yet. So
200 special.
Yikes. All right, for real. Cheers, everybody.
All right, bye, Johnny. Oh, all right then. But we have some horror movies to talk about.
Do we?
Yeah, just one or two, maybe.
Aaron Reeves would like to ask, who do I have to blow to guest host? Please say it's Eugene. He is the sex symbol. He really is.
Prayer received.
Prayer received.
All right, Alex, what do we got first?
Do I wait till after my lag spike? Is that how we do this?
Fight through it. Just do better.
All right, we're talking about. We're gonna go January. Anyways, JL picked out some good ones. We're going to start with The Unborn, January 9th, 2009. This movie was directed by David Goyer, starring Odette Annabelle, Gary Oldman, Cam, and I can only say this as Gigadet, Gigantet. He's got a weird last name.
Gijende.
No, it's Gigantelux. And Megan Good, Jane Alexander was in this. Idris Elba was in this as well. This movie was a stage 5 clear ghost story. Ghost was haunting this woman, kind of progressively got worse until she found out what was really going on. And this turned into it's a possession. It was definitely possession-y.
Yeah, well, it kind of follows that.
It started out good. The camera work was really good in this movie. The story was going really well, and then it kind of got to the point where it was like, yeah, I've seen this before. They could, because this was done in the style of being kind of like a different religion type exorcism situation, could have gone a lot of different ways. But so anyways, this woman finds out, I don't know, is that giving it away? Can I give away the but this woman is being tortured, I guess, by these ghosts, paranormal situations. Can you even hear me?
Yeah. We're just listening to you.
Yeah, we're listening to you.
You keep lagging out.
you keep lagging, and we're waiting for you to catch up because then
I need tech support.
Your voice gets really, really fast.
So this movie was about a girl. Anyways,
yeah, there he goes.
Let's start that over. This now you're frozen. Anyways, woman possessed.
Okay,
Twin brother
so
died.
okay, so in the context, Sir Little says, "Oh, now you're worried about spoiling movies." So in the context of this, the film is a dybbuk. That's what intrigued me the most. Is the film? It was kind of odd because it was Unborn. I was like, oh, maybe it's my initial when I first heard about this. I mean, given it came out in 2009. It got my attention because you've got Gary Oldman, you've got Idris Elba, a number of massive actors in this. Not to mention, I recognize what's her name, the lead girl, Odette Yesman, who plays Casey, who plays the lead girl. She was on the show House in the final seasons. Is one of the doctors in the final seasons. So there was a lot of recognizable names in it, and I was like, wow. And he's got Gary Oldman in it. I'm quite impressed for just a simple horror movie. And as it turns out, it's a dybbuk film. And if anybody out there is not familiar with what a dybbuk is, it's an evil spirit out of Jewish folklore. And I've seen dybbuk movies before. I mean, there are many of them out there, and I've had the pleasure and displeasure of watching many of them. Movies like Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in the Possession. There's a new one coming out called dybbuk in 2021. I have to look and see who's in that. The Vigil, To Dust, a number of them. And as a matter of fact, Killer Sofa was a dybbuk movie, which I didn't anticipate because it's about a killer sofa.
Killer Sofa was great. Don't even.
But the sofa itself, I wasn't anticipating that, but the sofa itself is actually inhabited by a dybbuk. So the idea is that dybbuks are typically trapped in places. They're contained in places. And then you unleash them, like in The Possessed with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, when Negan took on a dybbuk. And so in this particular one, it was odd. There was a switch up of I kind of dug it. It took me by surprise because it was a switch up from what you normally expect. And then, yes, Travis Brown, Odette was also in Cloverfield. You are correct. But it was a change up of the folklore idea that typically people find a dybbuk and then they accidentally release it and it comes out. This one's actually pursuing a girl. They bring in, they kind of ramp it up with I hate saying it, we bring it up like the Holocaust, bringing in points of the Holocaust, really hammering home the Jewish mythology of it and going into Nazi experimentation stuff. It was better than I was anticipating because it changed some stuff and I knew there were solid actors in it. But ultimately, I think it's been done better. I think there are better representations of what this is, especially when it stays true to its Jewish roots. Changing it up you can't just keep releasing the same damn movie over and over and over again. I understand it. I just don't think this is one of Killer Sofa is interesting. That's a new way to do it. I just don't think that this one did it as well. And there was just, I think what took it away, too much focus on jump scares. Scary kids all over the place, a scary kid jumping out. Or Odette is a talented actress. We don't need to see her in her underwear that much. It's come on. You've got Gary Oldman and you've got Idris Elba and you've got actors I recognize. You don't need to sell me on how hot this chick is by the first 20 minutes being filled with shots of her in her underwear. Don't need it. So.
Yeah, I agree that it's not bad. I'm not a fan of the cheap jump scares. To me, the best jump scares are the ones that can build up. Great horror movies could have 2 or 3. Just enough to kind of catch you off guard at a moment or really kind of build up tension. If you build up tension for 45 minutes in a movie and then you hit that jump and it's that well-deserved jump scare instead of to me, cheap jump scares is hey, are you paying attention to the movie? Are you still paying attention? We need to get your attention again versus a story kind of just carrying it on its own. And also I agree with the fact that it's okay, I get it. She's attractive. She's an actress. Most actresses are very attractive.
Right.
It's just the way. That's how Hollywood works. I get it. That's perfectly fine. But I don't know how you would say, I don't know how long it took to film the film, but say she spends 3 weeks filming in just her underwear.
just to get, and considering how many angles are used in those scenes when she's in the bathroom and she's checking the mirror, and then and there was multiple times she goes there where she's like looking into the mirror, checking the medicine cabinet, take all of that time, all of those angles. That's weeks and weeks of shooting. And then of course she has a sex scene in the middle of one of those where she's having sex with her boyfriend. So we've got all this time spent with building up, with just centered around, look how hot this girl is. You didn't need to sell it. You had me at Gary Oldman. You put Gary Oldman in a movie and I'm sold. And I will go and watch that fucker. I don't care when. I even went to watch the one about him on a boat. I'll watch Gary Oldman on a boat. I don't give a shit. So, all you need is that. And then you put Idris Elba in it as well. I'm like, fuck yes, I'm going to watch Idris Elba. Fucking American Gangster? Hell yes. So, yeah, you've already got me. Don't oversell it. And then, of course, throwing creepy kids at me all the time. At this point, it's just like, why? Why? They almost got it. The creepy, like the dog with the mask on its face. That's creepy. The dog with the upside down head. That's creepy. And they looked good because this is an expensive movie. Look who you've got in it.
Yeah,
they're spending the money in all the right places. It's just that,
Yeah, I think creepy kids are. It's just kind of done to death on it. Like you get. It's like you have the ring. The ring came out like in 2002, and it's like, oh man, creepy little girl. And it kind of I was like, oh, that's creepy. By 2009, 7 years later, it's like, yeah, we get it.
Well, it's an interesting thing. Despite like Alex was saying, the movie is really well done. It's well shot. It's a very professional production. Obviously, the script was solid enough to attract the likes of Gary Oldman, and it was written by David S. Goyer. David S. Goyer is a prolific writer these days. And everybody behind it is solid. I just think you have all of this talent, and then you just go with the easiest with the lowest common denominator. Go with what works. No, you assemble talent so that talent can build you something amazing. Don't assemble all that talent and all that money just to deliver a baseline effort. It's just wasted. People were just there. I mean, everybody gives their best, but people just doing it for paychecks. It doesn't do anything for the genre, and it doesn't further any interest in that. Nonetheless, not a bad film. It had some creepy moments, which I will say were pretty decent. But nonetheless, I found it interesting lately. And I don't know if this is the same. You guys can agree with me or disagree with me on this. There has been a real uptick in the kind of the appeal of mythic horror films based around mythical creatures. Whether it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's Jewish folklore, Christian mythology, Greek mythology, or even Native or Indigenous American mythology, doesn't matter. I'm seeing a real uptick in kind of like a going back to basics deal, like going back and tapping all the old stuff now. And I mean, Universal's been trying to do it forever by trying to like retread their old Universal monsters. And Jinn, yes, Sir Little just brought it up. There's a new Jinn movie coming out here pretty soon.
Well, see, I'm kind of curious about in terms of like this mythic horror, we have this whole thing of remakes, reboots, established IPs. No one's willing to take risks. And we've talked about that many times before. And I'm kind of curious if going to the mythical creatures, the mythology in American folklore, is still trying to tap into that reboot. We need to give you something you've already heard of. Because you talk about the Jinn, you talk about some of these other creatures from the past, the Universal monsters. I think it's more of a symbol of people aren't really going to see the new, unique, original stuff. The movies that we have a creature that you've never heard of before that's featured in our film. Versus, this is a creature that is established. This is a creature that has some kind of lore behind it. This is something, even if it's maybe you've barely heard of it or it's a little twist, it's still building on this remake thing on it. That's kind of how I've seen it lately.
I find it interesting. And I don't know what it is, it being now like 2022 and just seeing a sudden uptick in this kind of stuff. I'm trying to gauge if there are like, you know, major societal changes that are going on that would influence another retread, because obviously horror goes through cycles. We've seen it before. You'll get a cycle of just reboots of like old the standard reboots of old IP. You'll get a full kind of like a rush of kind of like new like stuff that's like new, or stuff that they, you know, old stuff they try to really make new and try, you know, to try and reinvent. And occasionally you'll go through a deal where it goes back to like old folklore stuff. Like I wouldn't be surprised if a new Leprechaun film came out like late 2022 or 2023 or something of that nature. So maybe we're re-entering one of these cycles where we're retreading this old stuff, and it's kind of like, well, there hasn't really been a rush of these old, you know, mythological horror movies where we're looking at like he said, like the Djinn, like we just got Antlers. So I was about to say Wendigo. We just got Antlers, and then of course this one, and then we have another Dybbuk movie coming out. So I'm kind of curious if that's what we're entering into. But I like it because I like mythological horror myself. But, you know, first and foremost, if it's done well, like Antlers was done extraordinarily well. But because I like learning about other cultures, and so what they got. Maybe another Skinwalker movie. One legitimate to the indigenous American legend. I'm hoping.
Yeah, not Skinwalkers the movie.
Right.
but even then we're talking last week. It was like, well, what are some of the movies that you're looking forward to? And what were the most common ones said? Scream, Halloween Ends, that just those films that already are built in, the franchises that are already built in on it. It's kind of the trend right now. And don't get me wrong, there are some great original content out there. There is, and I absolutely highly encourage, and if we can get some of these original films to get to the forefront again, then Hollywood will start investing in more original films. So us as an audience, push that out there. I really want to see The Northman, directed by Robert Eggers.
Yes. Skarsgård.
Yes. Oh, I cannot wait.
Can we fucking? But it's, oh my god! Can I say something real quick about that?
Yeah.
What if they don't turn him into a vampire at the end? God damn it! Can you hear me now?
Okay, you like say it again.
What if they don't? What if he doesn't turn into a vampire at the end? It's going to be a problem. How are you going to use Skarsgård and then make him the Northman, Eric Northman, and not turn him into a vampire at the end of the movie to lead into the True Blood storyline?
I haven't seen True Blood, so I was like,
I had a feeling that's where you were going.
His name is Eric Northman in True Blood. Like, how are you going to have Skarsgård as Northman? I'm conflicted.
So that's kind of how it is right now. I really want to push original content. Go out and see original films.
So Aaron Reese says, Week in Horror, a lot of them are just like the Dybbuk, though, where one really great movie made the myth popular, and then you see movies using it before the bandwagon breaks down. And yeah, most likely it's going to wind up being that way. We're going to see like this whole kind of like this trend of these mythological horror films coming through, where people are going to be diving, wherever they can. They'll go with tried and true. So they'll go with Wendigos, they'll go with Skinwalkers, they'll go with Dybbuks, they'll go with Djinns, they'll go with the things that we know and that we're familiar with. But there are going to be your independent filmmakers who are going to they're going to stretch. And even I have done that as well. I went hunting through Crow and Caw people's mythology to find something that I'm actually writing a horror film, a found footage horror film on, and I found something really, really gnarly that I'd never heard of before. So I'm looking forward to writing that. But hopefully we'll see a lot more of that and a lot more representation across the board. But maybe we're going into a trend, maybe we're not. I don't know. I do know that this one, I can simply say, not a bad film. It tried to do it a little. I mean, it's clean. It's got its moments. I just don't think. I think they played it safe. And they banked on what they know. Grips. Is emotionally gripping. They do big things: Holocaust, Auschwitz, Jewish survivors, Jewish mythology. And then they really hit all the things that were important there. that pull the audience. It's like, okay, this is how important it is. It's this important, and then just played it safe the rest of the movie. It was formulaic.
Well, like, so with David S. Goyer, I love David S. Goyer's writing. He wrote stuff for Buffy. He's written The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, some of like favorite all-time movies. He's not that great as a director. They're two totally different skill sets, hands down. I just don't like. I was just looking. Is probably his other thing you've probably heard of. He directed Blade Trinity. On it.
What's that?
Yeah, which is a fun movie. But
ThunderCon.
The best part of it.
This was also produced by Michael Bay.
Yeah.
So that may have been.
You can tell, and it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
but that's it.
So that's why I'm going to put some blame on David Goyer for this one. That's like maybe just stick to writing.
Swoop low with the telephoto. No Bruckhammer. I work solo. Yeah. I don't know if anybody's seen that rap. There was you could definitely
nuts.
Going back and watching. I mean, running through my mind, Michael Bay's fingerprints are all over that thing with certain camera. This camera set that's just his signature. That that there's going to be that he's going to be there as a producer. We need to do this. We need to have this shot. We need to focus on this. And most likely it would probably be, I'm going to call it out there. It was probably Michael Bay that insisted that so many shots of her
in the fucking shower
of Odette. There's so many of these shots to establish how sexy and vulnerable and how vulnerably sexy she is. That's got to be Michael Bay.
Yeah,
it's all Michael Bay, but it's done well. And you see some of those shots like in the shower wall with all the hands coming through, and it's some of it. It's like the camera angles and everything's beautiful, and everything looks really, really good. And then you get 3/4 of the way through the movie, and you're like, "Let me ask you this." There's a scene in that movie though that kind of touches on a lot of old, I want to say possession or kind of other culture possession movies. There's a scene in there on the stairs that we've seen before that they brought back that they did really well. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the upside down.
Where he's like walking down the stairs.
And that was something that when I saw it, I was like, okay, this is great. It's going to be good. And then it's like, wait, it's just the same thing that they did every single time. So it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, this was good because I've seen it 300 times. They had the cultural thing they could have played on. They really didn't play into it. And they could have done a lot more into the kind of the deep dive, looking into the mythology like you're talking about. But it was very surface level possession horror without anything different that they could have used the normal Christianity. It felt very Christian and not so Jewish.
Yeah. Obviously, that scene immediately in my head went, when the old man is possessed, he starts flipping around, like his head turns around and stuff, and obviously in my mind, and in the Mouth of Madness, John Carpenter, the exact same scene where the girl comes out of the car, does the same thing, does the whole like upside down walking, the crab walking, and then with the head turned around. That was just some straight Lovecraftian shit there. And then, of course, with the stairs and everything,
it's scary shit.
Recalling Exorcist on that one. So but that's what you do. Even as I've done it, and I know that if there's something solid in the bag of tricks, something that works, and you have a scene in a movie that's been written that way, you're like, this has been done before. Let's see if we can kind of emulate this. Let's use this to this effect and do it well, which David S. Goyer can do. The problem is that people recognize that. Make it your own. You've got the talent to do it. So while there were moments, like I said, the movie is filled with solid moments. They just played it safe, which just kind of like, just bums me out. Alex, if you tried turning off your camera,
you should turn it off and back on again. Yeah, I'm working on it now. I've actually got tech support for StreamYard in the live watching this right now to see if we can get this figured out.
Okay, cool.
It's something.
So yeah, but yeah, well maybe we'll see. I don't know what the trend is, but maybe we will see more.
Alex, are you still there?
How about now? Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Waiting to see if you guys lag on. Anyways, but that one, I want to ask the audience, since we're talking about a dybbuk, something totally different here. You don't see a whole lot of it. It would be cool to see more of the background of the dybbuk, because there is a lot about this that they don't touch on in the movie. But this is, all in all, an evil spirit horror film. I'd like to ask the audience, what is your favorite evil spirit horror film? There's a ton of them out there. My favorite particularly are most J-horror movies that I've ever seen.
Ooh, yeah.
I would say, yeah, a lot of good J-horror. Yeah, The Ring and The Grudge.
I like Wendigo films. I really do.
Wendigo's good for sure.
I really dig Wendigo films. It's just my favorite, like, mythological horror creature. Just because, you know, it could just be any. I like the evil spirit of the woods. I just kind of, it's always so creepy to me. And cannibalism is just it's so shuddery. But yeah, but definitely let us know in the live chat or in the comments below, what is your favorite evil spirit horror film? We'd love to know. Let me see. We got so Sir Little Wolf says Evil Speak, and Tony Regime said The Manitou. And Travis Brown says Evil Dead 2. Oh, I've got some Evil Dead film. Evil Dead fans. Yeah, definitely. All right. That's okay, Alex. I'll cue myself. Jumping into our next movie, we have got this one came out January 10th, 2020. So it's a recent one. Well, fairly recent, but January 10th, 2020, and this movie is The Furies. Oh, got some love for Poltergeist in there. But yes, The Furies. So, and directed and written by Tony Diacchino, starring Arlie Dodds, Linda Ngo, Taylor Ferguson, Ebony Vagulins, Danielle Horvat, Tom O'Sullivan, Jessica Baker, and Caitlin Boy. This film, for those who have not seen it, centers around a girl and her best friend who suddenly wake up in the middle of the Australian nowhere and suddenly find themselves pitted in a horrific, very splattery and gross game of cat and mouse with masked assailants all around them. But the lead girl slowly begins to find out there's something different about this game, as not all the bad guys are going after all the girls, and there's some sort of weird team thing going on. So the movie follows her progression through this insanity as she tries to figure out what the hell is going on and how she got in this situation. I for one, this is another Australian winner in my episode. I fucking love this movie.
This was actually a really fun movie. This had definitely some gnarly kills.
Yes.
Oh my fucking god.
Dude, that double-bladed axe in the face. Oh, that was. I mean,
you have the axe across the face. You have the fucking head splits on it. Oh my god. I mean, just definitely brutal. If you are a fan of, because we talked about one of our favorite Australian horror films, Wolf Creek. If you are a fan of Wolf Creek, you will definitely really enjoy this film on it. Yeah, because it's a group of killers. It's a group of girls, and they kind of have to pit it out against each other in like the middle of nowhere.
Right.
On this. It is absolutely, definitely a gem. This was awesome because normally when we do the podcast and it's like, oh, here's a film that came out recently you never heard of before, and I'm kind of like, is there a reason? And most of the time I'm right, but this one was actually, and this one was a pleasant surprise. So definitely check this one out.
That's the thing that get. Okay, so there isn't a surprise. I don't know if the trend is surprising. It's kind of surprising to me. Australian horror films, by and large, are so much better. I don't know why. They're just better. They're more fun. It seems like the actors are having fun. I enjoy Australian horror films. I don't know why they're able to do it better. Maybe possibly it's because it's not American. Maybe because obviously I'm an American. I grew up here in the States. I'm used to American stylized horror. And because it's like J-horror or K-horror or Indonesian horror or Filipino horror, which is really some brutally nasty shit. Australian horror. Like, you could do like Black Sheep. Black Sheep, one of my favorite. I think that was New Zealand. One of my favorite New Zealand horror films is Black Sheep. Absolutely fucking hilarious. Totally disgusting movie. That movie's just gross, but it was brilliant. Turn around, you do the same kind of thing here in America, here in the States. For some reason, it just doesn't work, and I don't know, and I really don't know why. Because look at it objectively. What about the Furies have you not seen before? You know, the violence of the kills, the the creepiness of what, you know, I don't really understand what's going on. It's a female centric horror film because it's all the primary characters are all female, or all, you know, and you know, even that moment when the dude like cleaves that one girl, then he like looks up and sees her and is like, hey, you know, and you know things are not normal at this point. So it's not that we haven't seen before. We've seen this a dozen times before, but for some reason it works here. Is it what do you think? Is it the environment? Is it just the Australian filmmaking style? I have no fucking clue.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's a culture thing. Maybe it's just different influences on it. I mean, obviously, here we're going to be more influenced by American films, and maybe over there they're probably more influenced by Australian films on it. They probably grew up on a lot of stuff that we haven't seen, or maybe even heard of.
This is interesting. Aaron Reese says, yeah, there were definitely some sweet practical effects. Yes, there were. And that's why one thing I really loved about this one is the practical effects. God, it always goes back to the girl and the double-bladed axe in the face. It's just so fucking brutal. And it was slow, and you know, oh, fuck, that would hurt so bad. Anyway, Aaron Reese also says, what's crazy is that Australia bans more movies and video games than the U.S. does, which is wild. And they churn out something like this, you know, which is interesting. Yes, Charlie Welch, I agree. Cargo was a magnificent film. I loved the short movie. I loved the short film that inspired it, and I loved the feature length with Martin Freeman. I thought it was brilliantly done. So Little Wolf says New Zealand is fun. Last of the Living is great. Great. And Ivy Gentry says they live in a landscape that is full of stuff that is trying to kill them. They have a different attitude towards horror. This is very true.
Yeah.
There's something about it. I initially went to the landscape. When you're watching, especially in a movie like The Furies, and it works well in Wolf Creek as well. One thing that made Wolf Creek so well, one thing that Don McLean got really, really well that he captured was the vastness of the outback. That no matter where you're at in the movie, you look around, you are hopelessly alone. And that's what I loved about it. I loved that he really captured the majesty and brutality of just the landscape of Australia. You're looking around, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and you have a concept that you're in a bad spot, but he really shows it. You are in a bad fucking spot. You're so screwed, and you don't know it, which is what makes those movies so terrifying, because now you're out there with a bad guy who knows it better, who like knows how screwed you are, and he's not, because he's better at this than you are. That's why that works so well. The same thing in this one. These girls wake up in the middle of the Australian nowhere, no indication of what's going on, and it's just like, you know, because Australia's fucking huge. It's barren. There's nothing other than, I think there was trees, but just trees, and then shrubs.
Trees, and then you have some open like plains kind of thing.
That was pretty much it. And I guess it's that sensation, because we know as Americans, everything in Australia is trying to kill you, because it is. So we know that if you're lost in the middle of nowhere, especially with a bunch of psychos running around, you're especially fucked.
Maybe that's something that gets missed in America, because America, we come across as so developed that, yeah, there are isolated areas in America, absolutely. But maybe as America as a whole, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like if you're in the woods, there may be a city over the next hill or a town over the next hill. Wow. You don't really ever feel that type of isolation, because even in like watching, say, the Blair Witch Project, where they're lost in the woods in America, you don't feel as isolated. Yeah, they're lost in the woods is creepy, but you never feel isolated. And then maybe adding the fact that it is foreign. It's not only isolation, but it is foreign, that we just don't get a sense anywhere like that here.
Definitely. That's what struck me, and that's why I really, really enjoyed this, and I loved it that there was nothing that it was good classic, just brutal slasher fare. Nothing supernatural about this, And someone said that they actually, I think it was I can't remember who it was. It Sir. Someone said that they passed out. They actually fell asleep halfway through. Not to say that the movie is boring, but Sir Kaz said I fell asleep halfway through. So no spoilers. Not going to spoil it for you as to exactly why what's going on is going on. But I enjoyed, obviously the practical effects were magnificent. I thought the practical effects were great. No supernatural shit, just good classic, brutal slasher fare that, I think just knocked it out of the park. It was shocking because this really didn't get the play that I think that it should have gotten, as strong as it was. But then again, maybe because it's kind of like the Babadook. The Babadook really didn't get all of the play that it deserved in Australia and New Zealand, which is where it released first. And it was kind of like met with lukewarm reception there. But in the States, it exploded. It's I don't know what it is. It's a different culture. They embrace it differently. I'm not sure, but I'll fucking love Australian horror. I just adore it, especially in the Wolf Creek vein. I love that McLean brought that to us, and John Jarrett has brought that character to life and realizes Australia's a pretty badass place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if those who haven't, I strongly recommend, if you have not seen The Furies, it's an excellent film, but be prepared. If you didn't get a chance to watch it before we started talking about it tonight, the film is brutal as fuck. And for those who are a bit on the squeamish side, you may want to take a pass because there's going to be some stuff in there that we'll get you. We'll get you good.
Oh yeah.
Nice and close up. But I do want to ask the audience. So for those who have seen The Furies, I thought this was an exceptionally strong film. I thought Tony D'Aquino did extremely well. It's a simple film. It's brutal. It's a decent storyline. Good, solid. It's just good. Anybody who loves. Yes, well, I would say actually in some cases, I would say Wolf Creek 2 brutal. Because Wolf Creek 2 had to one-up Wolf Creek. So I would say Wolf Creek 2 in brutality. And you can see it. It is currently on Amazon, IV. It's currently streaming on Amazon Prime. So now I will ask, because of the strength of this movie and because of its ending, which I'm not going to spoil, but because of its ending, do you think this movie should have a sequel? Because I honestly think it should. I think this thing this deserves a sequel and kind of a revisit this. Maybe not with the same characters, but maybe kind of ramped up or maybe slightly different. So if you watch it, you'll understand. But for those who have seen it and saw the whole thing, let us know. Do you think that this movie is one of those slasher films that deserves a sequel? Just to either tie it up loose ends or, I don't know, something larger. Let us know in the comments below or in the live chat. Or at weekinhorror@gmail.com so that Alex can eventually get an email that he can read.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. So, Eugene, you've got our next one, right? And I know you're looking forward to this.
This is a great classic on this. We have released January 12th, 1940. So we are definitely going back. We have The Invisible Man Returns. And it was directed by Joe May. And it stars Sir Cedric Hardwicke, Vincent Price, Nan Gray, and John Sutton. And basically what you have is you have Vincent Price, who's wrongly accused of killing his brother, who's basically sent to die, gets injected with a serum that makes him invisible, and escapes. And this one, I get to say this last time, shit gets real.
Oh, it does. For 1940, the shit got real.
Yes.
I absolutely I adore this movie. I really enjoyed going back and watching this. Obviously, Vincent Price. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with Vincent Price. I thought he was fantastic. But not to mention the effects for 1940. Absolutely stunning. And we will dive into those Oscar-nominated effects. But one thing that's really cool, I mean, the storyline is fantastic. It's just this movie came along. Universal made this film because of the success of Son of Frankenstein. So Son of Frankenstein, and I went back and I had to rewatch it because I was like, oh, well, if Son of Frankenstein was so good, then, let me go check. Son of Frankenstein was amazing. That was a fantastic movie. And so I can understand why they say, well, let's do an Invisible Man, and I did love it. And I really love this one because they did not try to move on from Claude Rains' story, from the original one, just the existence of the serum. And that they've got the serum, and you can we could get you out, and you could go try and prove that you didn't exonerate yourself. This shit will drive you insane. Okay, you will go crazy. Being invisible. We've seen it happen. It's like going to do it anyway. So I gotta love it. It's a perfect setup, excellent plot, well shot and everything. But the one thing that got me when I started diving into this one, and it was surprised me for how well put together, how well edited, how well directed, acted this whole movie was. We know, and I know, especially Johnny knows that what you see on screen is not always representative of what goes on behind the scenes. And sometimes what goes on behind the scenes is fucking bonkers. And this film, as was so common amongst other ones, the brilliance of this film kind of hid the fact that it was an extremely problematic production. And that they had, and I can't even imagine, I'm trying, because in my head, when I'm thinking about 1940s movies, I'm always trying to readjust for inflation. It's like how much it costs now versus how much it cost back then. So when I hear about a movie, back then, I think the budget on this one was $815,000. It was $243,000. So almost $250,000 to shoot this movie in 1940. That's insane.
That's a lot of money.
That is a ton of money. And then, of course, it banked $815,000. And you think about that now, $815,000. You hope you get that off of one screen these days. But no, $815,000 was a lot of money. That's 4 times their budget. That's amazing, the returns. So, and I'm thinking that they dumped a truckload of money into this. And then the problems that they had in this production were fucking wild.
What problems? It's like nobody fucking showed up. Everything broke.
I know, right?
It was ridiculous. It was just one thing after fucking another.
I mean, you take something like this, and especially something that's very special effects driven, such as, the premise of this, you're going to have issues. You're going to have problems on it. Yeah. And plus, on top of that, Vincent Price said he had problems at his home life.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, there was that whole Price issue at home, and then the funding issue towards the end.
Well, I mean, it started out difficult from the start, because at the start they couldn't settle on a director because you're having director problems. Because originally, I think it was when they announced its development, then Joe May was announced as the director, and then it was either going to be with Boris Karloff or Bela Lugosi, hinted at playing the Invisible Man, and then of course days after that announcement, then a new director was brought in. It was Roland Lee was brought in to direct, and then of course the script itself went through a host. Basically, the crap that we see today that generally is an indicator of a bad film. Where you go through, I think it was like W.P. Lipscomb worked on it, and then Michael Hogan worked on it, and then Kurt. I think how do you pronounce it? Kurt Siodmak worked on it. So, and then of course Cedric Belfredge and a number of other ones all contributed to this. So problematic writing, problematic directing, don't know who your lead is. And then, of course, to go from Bela Lugosi or Boris Karloff and then immediately go to Vincent Price at that time, who wasn't as established and wasn't as commanding as the other ones. That's also a bad indicator. But, of course, Vincent Price, legend that he is. And then if I remember reading, it was in the set construction, like in the first, the first couple of days, it was a 27-day filming schedule, and that was not adequate for the special effects or the time that it took to direct it. And I think the studio backlot, they turned the entire studio backlot into an English mining town, which included a coal pile and the coal escalator. That looked amazing in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the entire Universal Studios backlot was turned into that. It turned into that shit. By the second week of shooting, it was already behind schedule. And so, and the crews were working until midnight with no expectation. And of course, in those days, you started early. So these are long ass days, and nobody has any idea when the movie's going to be done. They're just like doing whatever they're told at this point. So, and then that coal chute that you saw in the and I don't want to, for those who haven't had the joy of watching this, was fully functional. The whole thing worked. So brilliant stuff that they put into this in order to make it. But then it goes, just problem after problem. But we've seen this before. We saw this. There were major problems with the first Frankenstein. There were major problems with there was several of Roger Corman's early things. Just problematic that you just are able to squeeze out an amazing production, and that's what happened here. I don't know. I think, but we only really see that in the oldies, right? Like,
no, we see. I think we see it today, and it becomes, especially when you get these very special effects-driven films that want to use all practicality. We see it a lot because practical effects are awesome. They look better, and I will always say practical over CGI, but practical does have its downside. Titanic was pushed back 5 months for its release date because they had a lot of issues. Though probably the biggest one in the last 10 years was Mad Max Fury Road. They were 100 days behind schedule after a day.
Holy shit.
Day one, they were so far behind that the studio heads, not just executive producers, but the studio, I think it was Sony, that a studio head had to go on set and go, what the fuck is going on?
What is happening in this production?
On this. Because for those of you who don't know, you watch Mad Max Fury Road, those are all real vehicles. That's real fire. All the crashes, all the vehicle flips, all the other kinds of stuff, it's all 100% real. So they have to custom build all those vehicles for them to work. And to work the way they want it to work, and to make sure the stunts were done safely when you're having people catapulted on giant poles from one vehicle to another and explosions, and you have to choreograph 20 different drivers on that. And you're like, okay, we should have 10 shots on day one, and day one you have 0.
I don't even want to imagine the logistics of just the desert driving scene with all the cars coming in and the dude in there playing the guitar with the bass with the flames. Just the logistics of trying to shoot that. I was like, fuck that noise. That's not the kind of movie that I don't even know that's the kind of movie making I would ever want to do, considering the logistics of that. It's like, but then again, maybe I don't know. You have a lot of people working for you, a lot of people who know their jobs, and your job is just kind of like look over them and make sure everything's going right. No, make that look like that, and then walk away and go do something else. You don't get caught up in it.
That's the type of film, like, you can make it and it'll take 5 years off your lifespan.
Right. So, and one thing that another really thing that was really, really cool about this one is, unlike that, the process of making Vincent Price, his character, Sir Jeffrey Radcliffe, of making him invisible was slightly different than they used before, than they did with Claude Rains in the original Invisible Man. And if I remember reading about it, Price said that he was not covered by bandages or special effects. When he was not covered by bandages or special effects, only appears as himself for 1 minute of the film. So he's literally just in it, and then the rest of the time he was draped.
It's like black velvet, right?
Yeah, draped in black velvet and working against a set draped in black velvet.
This is the beauty when you start looking at things like black and white, and how filmmakers at the time would actually really utilize that, because that was the standard, and they knew that they can get away with it. These are experienced filmmakers, and they were able to use things like black and white to their advantage, because if you have Vincent Price in a black velvet, and then they have a black velvet background that is the exact same black, cameras can't tell the difference between the two. They can't on it. So that way it just looks just plain. on it, and the parts that they wanted to show, they can show of him moving around. And this is the brilliance of some of the filmmaking, and this is why the effects are so good. Use what you have to its fullest extent and play with things. Black and white wasn't just, well, it's black and white, it really doesn't matter. They would do things like worry about color,
right?
Because sets are painted a certain way because they wanted a certain gray tone in the film, what they wanted to be black. They would really, really utilize stuff like this. And this is why, if you are a filmmaker and you really want to enjoy practical effects, you really want to dive into these special effects, look at black and white film. And how they utilize, because you look at it today and you're like, man, I don't know how you would do this without CGI. Well, they did it in 1940 because there was no CGI.
And done to incredible effect. I love what they did in this one, especially when he's not bandaged, and just how they when he's holding the gun, everything. Just how they pulled this off. I was brilliant. Obviously, resulting in Oscar nominations for best special effects. For 1940, I thought that I absolutely love this. And going back to that old classic stuff, the original, where I got my taste for it, back in film school, was the original trick photography films from France. Was French trick photography films. Mm-hmm. And basically doing very simple things, stuff that's very basic today. Double exposure, and I can't remember what there's a
it's like you would lay shots on top of each other to get that cross dissolve effect.
Bingo, yes, just little stuff like that. And the early stuff that was coming out of France, that was coming out of Germany, and it was coming out of England as it kind of moved its way here. Trick photography is what got me into. It's like you can make something, you can take a picture of something and then make it look like something else just by altering stuff, either with the camera or like forced perspective shots. I always thought forced perspective shots were really kind of neat. Just because before I understood what a forced perspective shot was, it was like, wow, how do you do this? It was like, oh, I get it now. So, duh.
I mean, when you think about using stuff like this, and one of my favorite practical effects of all time is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from 1931.
Yes,
and the way that was accomplished was they painted makeup on him in different colors, knowing it's going to be black and white. And then what they did was they had a gradient color filter in front of the camera, because they knew if, based off of color, when you rotate it and it would go on, say, like blue, then blue from the filter and blue from on his makeup wouldn't be seen. So they would roll this color wheel in front of the camera, which would end up revealing more and more of his makeup.
Yeah.
Somebody came up with an idea to do that. That to me is what's impressive, when it's like, okay, I want a transformation in one shot, no cutaways. Like I said, CGI does not exist. How do we do this? Well, maybe we can play with this and play. Okay, let's do colors and let's paint it a certain way, and we'll try it out. And you get, one of the greatest special effects moment I've ever seen in a film.
That's like some of the. That goes up there with the engineering. The engineering level of creating the across the table scenes in Lord of the Rings that Peter Jackson utilized, where that was forced perspective, where both actors are live, they're there, but it's the way things are set up and the way the camera is going to be capturing, and specifically the way things are lit, so not too much is revealed, the way the table is designed. So if you actually looked at it from like this perspective, it's all jacked up, but where the camera is going to be, it looks perfect. And just, but knowing how you're going to have to construct this table like this to make it and to be able to pull that off. Brilliant stuff. Just people, and back then when the people were setting the standard. And I love the stuff that they did, the risks they were willing to take in order to do something magnificent. The stuff that Boris Karloff did, the stuff that, his name escapes me. Creature from the Black Lagoon, my favorite Universal monster. The concept of filming underwater, getting shots underwater was foreign to me at the time, because I was like, that's pretty cool. Because the way I watched movies, my uncles introduced me to old Universal stuff first, And so it was the nuclear monsters and the universal monsters that I got a taste of first when I was growing up. So the idea of shooting underwater foreign to me, the idea that someone is in that suit swimming around doing this, that's dangerous because he's spinning around. I was like, oh, there's no tank. Wow. To make sure that you get these shots and to do them perfectly. That shit captivated me. You know what?
Yeah, because I mean, you think in terms of being underwater, film cameras, the high-end cinema cameras they're shooting on, these were not small cameras. These are not things that are like this big and you can put in a water box like we do today, and everything can be remote and all this other kind of stuff. You have a film camera with reels that you have to seal, and then you have to operate this thing manually underwater. On top of that is just that's impressive.
Back in those days when you see those pictures of the directors, they had those big ass cones, or whoever was talking, whoever needed to get message across set. Quiet on set. He had the giant megaphone that they had back then. I love that time, and I learned so much as a filmmaker myself. Watching this old stuff, studying old film. And then, of course, when you go to film school, that's literally your foundation, is the origins of film, how these things kicked off, where they came from. And, of course, I love the horror. You get movies like, House of the Devil, and I think House of the Devil is one of my favorites. Just all the cool trick photography that went into that one. So, and, of course, the early 1898 stuff and going into the early 1900s. Really, really fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, definitely. I could sit there. I could talk about old special effects and practical effects and stuff like that, like all day. But we do have one more film that we have to talk about. So I definitely want to ask the audience on this one. What is your favorite Invisible Man film? So we talked about, we got the Return of the Invisible Man. We have the original Invisible Man, which had another great special effects usage. All the way up into, what was the Invisible Man that came out last year?
I think it was
2019.
2019, right? I think. Yeah, 2019's Invisible Man. I got to tell you, okay, the original for me, I mean, the original Claude Rains masterpiece, I love that one. The opening scene gets me every time. You open with your universe, with your monster. When he's like, it was like, and just that like, he's all eaten away. Just that's how you open your movie. That was brilliant. Brilliantly done. I love the original Claude Rains, but man, a close second is that new Invisible Man that came out with Elizabeth Moss. I fucking loved that movie.
That was solid. That was really good. If they want to build, I know they keep trying to build a dark universe and all this other kind of stuff. Start with that one.
Yes.
And just scratch everything beforehand.
Yes. Ivy Gentry says, my son freaked out about the CGI he thought he was seeing while watching 007 movies years ago. And we had to argue about how, yes, they were swimming with sharks.
They were actually swimming with the sharks.
You remember the zombie versus shark fight, right? With the zombies in the water versus the shark, where the zombie fights the shark?
In 007, what?
No, it was a 007 movie. I
was still thinking of 007. I was like,
sorry.
I was like, wait, I've never seen this. GoldenEye.
No, there was it was in Fulci's Zombie. It was Fulci's Zombie had a scene where one of the zombies is underwater and gets into it with a shark.
I have not seen that.
You've got to check this shit out, dude.
Well, I want to see it now.
Definitely, when we're off to you definitely gotta check it out. But that shit was fucking brilliant. And that was not CGI. The zombie was underwater and he fought a shark. It's fucking brilliant. But definitely let us know. Yes, let us know what your favorite Invisible Man. I see there's a lot of. Do what, dude?
Where did they find a zombie? You said it's not CGI. Where's the zombie?
What do you mean?
That was a dad joke.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think
you got 4 kids, man. You got to be on top of this.
A little slow on the upchuck. I see a lot of love for Hollow Man in there. Yes, Hollow Man was good. I thought Hollow Man. That was a good depiction. Go with the Kevin Bacon going crazy, and the special effects on it were pretty fantastic. The way they made him invisible was pretty brilliant. I wrote no last name. Does Predator count?
yes, it does.
But I gotta say, the original Claude Rains one, I absolutely love it. It caught me from the first 5 minutes. That movie had me. But yeah, close second, that new one from Blumhouse, Invisible Man. Fuck, that was good.
Yes.
The fight scenes were brilliant. It got me, and I fucking knew it was gonna happen. That's why it's my favorite. The scene when she's up in the attic.
Oh yeah, she's like peeking through,
and she's got the paint, and she's looking down. And then she throws it, and she throws it down, and then it's like, he's right there in her face, and I was like, oh shit, that one actually got me. I was kind of like, oh damn, because I was like, oh, I expect him to be like at the bottom of the stairs or maybe midway. He was like, no, he was right there.
Yeah, he's like looking like this, like hi.
Wrote it in last name says Hollow Man was not terrible. This is true. All right. Oh man, but fucking love. I love those movies, especially the old classic. I love it when we get a chance to go back and talk about the old classic Universal movies. So much fun.
No, absolutely. But we have one left. Alex, take us home.
Yeah, we're gonna try here.
Have they not figured out what's going on?
Let's talk about. No, dude, I've installed 5 different browsers. We've gone through so many different things. The guy was in the live chat. Like we're on like last resort situations. This doesn't happen with any other stream. If there's any tech gurus listening right now, let me know and we'll hook up after the show. I need some help trying to figure out what the
last resort is to kick that bitch out the window.
The hell's going on with my situation. No, last resort is I'm using Opera right now as a browser because that's where we're at. Like, it's not going well.
Wait. So you use Mozilla, right? Firefox?
I've used Firefox, Chrome, Edge. Yeah, this is, I think, the 5th one that we've tried.
Damn, dude.
I have no idea. It's something inside my computer. So, like, seriously, if there's anybody that knows anything about like digging into this kind of stuff, it's...
Plothole says, Alex, I said I'll head to your house and fix it.
Yes, Johnny.
Yes, yeah, Johnny, please do.
It's not my internet. It's not my router. I just got a new Nighthawk. Like I just spent a bunch of money on that. I'm getting 350 up and down wireless, 500 plugged in. Yeah, plugged in wire, nothing. It's all fucked. It's something inside the computer. I've run malware. I can't find anything. I'm gonna wait for the next lag. I'm gonna wait for the next lag spike, and then I'll do this next movie.
Plothole says it's not your browser, and wrote it in the last name says, "Have you tried Netscape Navigator?"
Obviously, I have no idea what
that is. So. Wait, is Plothole heading over to your place right now?
No, he's probably joking. I doubt he's heading over there right now.
I don't think he's coming over here right now, too.
Okay, so he's asking what your motherboard is. So I'm assuming this is a conversation you probably need to have with him.
We'll have this after the show.
If you want, okay. It's like if you need me to jump, I can jump on this one. You got it? You good?
We can. No, we got it. Let's go. This is see. Then you the dates all fucked up. January 15th, 2016, 13, 19? Who knows?
It's 2019. How many
times this got released?
It's 2019.
It is 2019 that it actually got released. We're talking about Doom Room, which I hear you just watched today, JL.
I did. I had so much stuff going on my personal channel and stuff going on in the house. I got really busy, so I had to put this one off until today. So sat down, watched this one, and you go ahead and give the breakdown before we dive into it. Or are you trying to pass it off because you have?
All right, this one was directed by John Keyes, written by Carl Kirshner. This one's starring Johanna Stanton, Nicholas Ball, Debbie Rokon, Matthew Tompkins, Hayden Tweedy, Katie Kensett. If this gets too choppy, let me know. Essentially, this movie is about a woman who wakes up in a small room and starts to become slowly tormented by paranormal entities, and she's trying to figure out how the fuck she got into this little box, this little room. Claustrophobic horror for sure, which fucking set me off because I'm beyond claustrophobic.
Especially so many people in one space.
Seriously, we stuck in one little fuck you. I'd started killing people a lot quicker, trust me.
So what got me, and so first and foremost, this is definitely a low budget experimental horror. So there were two things I really dug about this. One, it actually reminded me of another low budget horror film that was a low budget experimental horror film I saw called Low, just L-O, which is about a guy confronting demons and shit. But it was extremely low budget experimental horror film, and we're actually that's coming up on the schedule. We will be talking about this we're talking about that film in season 3. It reminded me of that, where the focus is not so much on special effects. The focus is on because when you're that low budget, you got to have something to make it up. Well, when you're that low, sometimes you don't even have the money to dump into, special effects of any one particular degree. So it's got to be on your actors. Give them an environment to play in, an environment that is evocative, that really draws shit out of them. And they did that. And I will give it this. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I had one expectation, kind of like, this is what, it was like, oh, this is interesting. And I totally forgot. The second thing that got me going was, I can't remember the last time I was watching a horror movie where I wasn't able to figure it out almost immediately, like what was going on. Because the structure of this one was, you don't know what's happening until the protagonist knows what's happening. There was a few things. It is
very much so that way, yes.
Right. There were a couple of things that kind of hint, but you don't know for certain. I can't say that there was ever a moment where I was like, I know something that the protagonist does not, and I'm waiting for the protagonist to catch up to me. That never occurred. I was always kind of like, well, it could be that. It could be this. By about 15 minutes in, I had about, I think if I asked my wife, I had about 5 or 6 hypotheses about what this movie could be about. Trying to figure out what the symbolism is, the symbolism of different characters. What does the one with no eyes mean? What does the old man mean? What is the Puritan who keeps showing up to chastise her? And where is she? And why are people coming and going and trying to assign? I enjoyed that. It kept me guessing. I was kind of like, okay, that's interesting. Where are they going with this? And that's what got me. And ultimately, one of my hypotheses turned out to be true. But I have to say, this is why I dig experimental horror. Trying to do new things. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does.
Yeah, and the thing is as we talk about in terms of other films, that, like we were talking about the Unborn, is that wasn't risk-taking.
Right.
At all. Whereas this is. And that was this is something that I actually appreciate in. And when you're talking about, because I felt the same way, I was like, I'm trying to figure out where it's going to go. When you watch as many horror films as we do, we are rarely surprised because we've seen it all. And I know sometimes these filmmakers are like, oh man, this is a good twist and all this other kind of stuff. And I was just like, yeah, I saw that in a 2002 independent film called blah, 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 that most people have never heard of, but we had to watch it for the podcast. So
you know what's bad when you start calling out camera angles. When it's like, oh, they set up a camera angle because they wanted to capture a particular like emotive shot. It was like, oh, I recognize they got that directly from Spielberg. That right there is straight Spielberg. Oh no, you got a little Carpenter in there as well. No, total Michael Bay. You can see. Oh yeah, you can see the influence there. But I like like you're saying, there comes along sometimes a little gem, a little low budget one that's just like fuck it. And this was a big, and like you said, I agree with you. This was a big risk taking film, not only on behalf of the actors themselves and the story that they were telling, but taking the risk in. We're not going to let the audience know explicitly what's going on, so that they're never ahead of the protagonist. The protagonist is never running to catch up to the audience. It's always, we're along with her for the ride, which given the subject nature of this film made it all the more intense, how the psychosexual nature of the movie. Because it was like, if you're ahead of if there's a distance between you and the protagonist, that makes difficult topics like abuse, rape, shit like that makes it kind of easier to swallow because you're ahead of the protagonist. There's a distance between you and them but you and their experience. But when you're figuring it out along the same pace as them, that puts you in the passenger seat. And you have to deal with it as they deal with it. And that's ballsy. I really enjoyed that aspect of this.
Yeah, because there's some weird, the clown.
Right.
We talk about stuff like that on it. And that's why I really appreciate, and I will always give kudos to something original. Something that is like, hey, this is what I have. And one of the things I did want to talk about was the location. I've always believed, in terms of your production value, so many people like to invest in cameras and, I need the new Red, the new Aries, I need all this other kinds of stuff. But the problem is your production value comes from your art direction. And a lot of that comes from your location. A really good location will provide 50% of your production value just right off the bat. And then you just fill it with your makeup and wardrobe and everything, because you can take that $60,000 camera, and if you show a white wall in 12K, it's still a fucking blank white wall. It still looks bad on that. So when you have something like this where the lighting, I love the lighting, the really kind of that it's like that Baroque style lighting where
right,
it's more like
yes.
silhouetted everything, Counterskaru, something like that. I can't pronounce it on it. I like it gave that dark kind of shadowy feel. They could have had a little bit of cheaper stuff because of being low budget, but because of lighting, it hides it. And the thing is, they shot it correctly when you want it to be dark. So it looks that, well, I like to call that creamy dark, versus when we talked about Hell Week, where it looked dark because it looked like they couldn't afford enough lights.
Because they couldn't afford lights, exactly.
Yeah, and it was like, we got 2 shop lights, we're going to make it work.
And I know you caught it as she's going through, because, having seen it now, as she's moving through, the stages, as she's kind of like coming to terms with why she's there and the events that led up to that, as she's coming to terms with this, as she interacts with other characters around her, the lighting on her changes subtly, because to justify the emotion of what she's going through, when she's dealing with the old man one-on-one with the guy who turns out to be the doctor, when she's dealing with him one-on-one, she's well lit, she's strongly lit, because that is the open communication that they have. That's where she is her most open and honest, because when she's fully in the light, when she's dealing with the puritanical one, that is her, with the puritanical character, that's her guilt and her shame manifesting. It's the reason why she's in the situation, being reflected back at her. She is lit in a way that kind of reflects that kind of like, the weight of guilt and shame upon her shoulders. I loved how they tweaked it just slightly, and how it moves with her seamlessly in between the characters, especially the one where it's the little girl, her innocence, is sitting next to her. The doctor is sitting on the other side, and then across from her is the Puritan dude. And they're all in a back and forth conversation. And everyone else is the same. The puritanical guy was always in shadow. He's always recessed, because the highlights are the white in the costume, and they stand out, and he just, and his eyes, because it's so close on him, and he's just like, he's always shadow. The doctor is always well lit, evenly lit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the girl is her innocence is always lit warmly.
And see, something in this type of film, you're able to experiment and really dive into, because like right now, the style of lighting that's popular is just natural lighting. It's just natural. Yeah. What will it be? We see it a lot, and sometimes maybe it'll be a little bit more contrasty if it's a horror film, but that tends to be the style. Whereas something like this, where because it can be experimental, they can push that. Where the lighting doesn't necessarily, that's not necessarily how light would fall in real life, but instead that lighting can invoke certain things about a character,
right? Which
is something that I greatly appreciate.
I thought it was really, really strongly done. There were a couple places, I was anticipating that we would end up talking about places where the film doesn't work and places where the film does work. Ultimately, I think the whole thing does work. There were even the stuff in the hallway, which I thought could have been a little bit better, but I understand what they were working with, so I could forgive a lot of technical stuff, like the ability to light a particular area, especially a long ass hallway like that when they're trying to convey the story they're trying to convey. I can forgive that for their budget. I can, because they did excellently. They put the money where the money's meant to be, and that's in the room and the interactions in the room. That was really, really good stuff. I love the acting. The writing was solid. Well, I mean, across the board, I think everything works in this. Obviously, very low budget, but if this is what I'm going to have to look into, make sure I get his name right. Blah, 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 blah. Come back here.
Alex.
No, not you. John Keyes. But director and writer John Keyes. Wherever he went to school, whoever taught him, whoever his mentor was, I want to look into that, because I definitely want to see more from him and see where he's going with this. To see if he's still willing to take the risk that he's taken. Let's see. He's done a lot of production, not a whole lot of direction. I'm gonna have to look deeper into his filmography and see if see if he retained that, because that risk-taking quality doesn't always survive.
Oh, and the thing is I mean, this could be, if it's something super low budget, this could be his first, second, maybe third feature film on that. And it's interesting because you can do the risk-taking route before you kind of get churned into the studio part of it, because the MCU is trying to take up a lot of young and upcoming directors on it. But it's like the trade-off, you get paid very well, and you can get your name out there, then you can go off and do whatever you want afterwards on it. So sometimes a lot of directors have to go through that pipeline to really establish yourself on it. But I liked actually what one comment Aaron Reese said is it's a very Dario Argento.
I saw that. Yeah, a very giallo feel. Yeah, and I'll agree with that. Definitely in the room. In the room, there was definitely the use of that, especially when dealing with the characters external to her, because those characters are singular. They're basically dimensions of her, except for the doctor. They're basically all the other characters are dimensions of her. The blind chick, the young girl. The blind chick is her denial. The young girl is her innocence. The puritanical dude is her guilt and her shame. And of course, the puppet woman and I kind of call it the taskmaster, like the husband. You know, the guy who initiated the whole thing.
Fucking character.
The puppet chick got me. It was kind of like that was wild. And also understand these are mental projections of her interpretations of these people and who they represented. And then and of course, she, at the end, I felt that. So I agree with Aaron Reese on that. Yeah, definitely the lighting had that feel for me. And then, of course, she gets the bad ending in the end, which kind of bummed me out a little bit. I was like, okay, great. We've come this far. This is our journey. Nope. Still stuck. Shit. So I felt kind of bad for
spoilers.
Well, she does blink. So I'll take that as a glimmer of hope.
We'll leave it. That could have came out 2019, so we can't spoil endings on it. But
I'm not spoiling the ending on that.
I'm just saying, if you're if she gets the dark ending, well, if you're hoping for sunshines and rainbows, it's not going to happen.
Aaron Reese brings up the young girl, the blind woman, the mute
fucking
man.
Horror movie. What do you expect?
All had a see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil feel. It started that way for me as well, Aaron Reese. It did. I was like, oh, it's kind of like a see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil thing. Wait, no, they did. And then they diverted off, which is what I think was a red. The see no evil, speak no evil, considering the unique situation she's in the room and the fact that she has no memory, doesn't know how she got there, doesn't know what's going on. I think that was a red herring to get people thinking in one direction so that they can shift off and go to another direction. That's what I took that as. It was kind of like, oh, it's got me going, whoa, and then we're gonna course correct over to this direction. It's like, oh, but wait, no, it's and so that's why I had 5-6 hypotheses as to what this film was actually about. So, but I agree.
The writing was super. It was super interesting. It was really good. It was very, very, very unpredictable, which was really cool to see in a film like this, especially with the claustrophobia. That stuff terrifies the shit out of me. I had an incident when I was a kid. I got a whole bunch of mental illness problems, but claustrophobia is definitely up there because it's something happened to me when I was a child that put me in a position where now being in confined spaces sets off an anxiety that will make me like pass out. It's happened before. It's terrifying. So the way that they did this, the story writing, the back and forth, the neck break, the whiplash, what's going to happen next, added a dimension to a trope that has been done well before. Cool.
Agreed. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish I knew how it looked on your end. I wish I knew how this lag looked, because it's like you guys sit there and you're like, and I've been done talking for like.
No, that's actually what we actually did.
It's what we did.
Yeah,
it's
we
like,
agreed.
Aaron Reese agrees with you. Yeah, Aaron Reese says, "I've got complex PTSD, so I feel you on that." And
I was diagnosed with PTSD, and it's I know it keeps cutting off. Anyways, I was diagnosed with PTSD, so yeah, it's
the fact that you said that. It's the fact that you said that, and then you suddenly.
CTA real quick?
It's the fact that you said that, and then you suddenly went into a 1,000-yard stare. Is what it looked like to what it looked like to us. It was like, I've got complex PTSD.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh, this is good. I swear we'll get this figured out, because this is. Anyways, do we CTA now? Is that what we do here?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so I wanted to ask the audience, what is the best?
I'm about to old yellow this stream. I swear.
Please do.
I'm gonna take it out to the shed. What the fuck was that?
It's a leaf blower.
Oh, I only caught like the moment of it was. I just saw. It was like, how big was that? How big is that bong?
Where have you been?
I seriously thought
really small now.
I happened to glance over here, and then I turn around. All I see is this thing going by. It's got a long spout. I was like, "Is that a fucking bong?"
Well, you just said it was like, I'm gonna old yellow this stream, and he pulls out this like, well, time to get the bazooka.
There's a lot of them out there though, like As Above, So Below, like cave movies, the Devil, 1408, like all those are just, they're so tight, and it just, that makes it exciting. I guess it's a way to cope for me. Horror movies are a coping mechanism for me. Man. Anyways,
did you ask the
CTA?
I did. Oh, did it lag out? What is the best claustrophobic? No, it did it again.
What Alex is trying to say is, what is your favorite claustrophobic horror?
Best claustrophobic horror movie.
Claustrophobic. Best claustrophobic horror movie. Horror movie that takes place in a tight space.
Yeah. Wait, that could be two movies. That could be
tight space horror.
Horror.
That's something totally different.
Yes, movies.
I agree, though. Johnny should have taken an opportunity.
He's probably listening right now.
Chris Durham would like you to know that aged cheddar...
He doesn't live very far from me. He lives like 10 minutes from me. So
Chris Durham would like you to know that aged cheddar is his coping mechanism.
That's a good one, dude.
Just like a block of cheese.
That's a dopamine releaser for sure.
I just get the feeling it's like, I'm so clogged up. Just fucking cheese. Oh, but definitely let us know what your favorite.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Homer, have you been up all night eating cheese? No. But definitely let us know in the live chat or down in the comments below, or weekinhorror@gmail.com. What is your favorite claustrophobic horror film? All right. Well, I'm thinking it's trivia time.
I believe so.
I think so.
Definitely. All right. Oh, it's me. I've got the trivia question this week. Very cool. Of course, I should know this because I fucking wrote the script. All right.
Yeah,
so, yes.
What?
You said my name. What do you want?
Just fucking lag. Yeah, I was saying trivia question. Jesus Christ. Just do it. Bye.
All right. Trivia question time. All right. And unfortunately, all of the very cool savings that we had going on in the Week in Horror Teespring, those are over. Those are for the month of December. So if you were able to get something at the absolute dirt cheapest price that we could possibly make,
I will say, do you got me real quick?
Yes.
There it is.
What the fuck?
Just so you know, somebody just what happened?
You were so lagged, dude.
Oh my god. Anyway, somebody just submitted a birthday giveaway form to our website, h.jasper.e.
Awesome.
Nice.
So just so you know, you're the only January birthday that we've had for that so far. So
thank you, H. Jasper.
You're the only January birthday we've got for that. So
do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So, but we are giving away something from the Week in Horror Teespring. It will be a pint glass, the new Week in Horror pint glass that I had designed. And I saw someone, I think Sir Little Wolf got one and sent me a picture of it. They look fantastic. I think it was Sir Little Wolf, but they look fantastic. With the limited edition #1 art on the pint glass, they look so good. So I'm looking forward to giving away another one. So for a Week in Horror pint glass with the limited edition artwork and limited edition #1 artwork, the very first artwork that Josh Olsen made for us. You don't have to answer, Aaron. He's got like everything that we have. But this time we're giving away a pint glass. All right. So flex those Google fingers. Okay. I was right. Sir Little Wolf got the hoodie. The hoodie looks amazing as well. It really does. The hoodie looks really good. All right. It wrote it no less name says it's like Alex has sporadic narcolepsy. All right. So Aaron Reese says I need more merch. God damn it. The Teespring is there. Link is in the description. Go for it. Anyway. So here's the trivia question. Flex those Google fingers. Get ready to go. Plot hole, you're not eligible because you actually work for us. Because you're a member of Week in Horror. All right. Despite her prolific career in TV, radio, film, and on stage, what did legendary and trailblazing actress Betty White originally desire a career as? One more time. Despite her prolific career in TV, radio, film, and on stage, what did legendary and trailblazing actress Betty White originally desire a career as? First one in the chat with that answer wins a Week in Horror pint glass, official Week in Horror pint glass. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pop over that. I know we'll pop over.
All right, we already got a couple of answers.
Jesus Christ! Oh, we got a right answer.
Wait.
Plottle was pissed. He wanted to win something. Hang on a sec.
I got Aaron Reese.
Let me see. Plot hole knows the answer. All like that. I'm just going through the live chat. Glober Mom said Zookeeper. No. Plot hole said Prawn Star. No. Aaron Reese said Zookeeper or Forest Ranger. And that came in. Oh, Charlie Welch was right behind him. Aaron Reese is the winner. Yes, Aaron Reese. While there was two answers there, yes, it was. She originally wanted to be a forest ranger, inspired by trips that she took there with the family that her father took her on to the Sierra Nevadas. That inspired her to be. She wanted to be a forest ranger to start. Unfortunately, at the time, they didn't allow women to be forest rangers, so she couldn't enter the program. But we have benefited from that because she eventually went into performance. But congratulations, Aaron Reese, you did win this one. And Aaron Reese says, you got a pint glass yet, Charlie? Does Charlie have a pint glass? Let me write this down real quick. This was a week in horror pint glass.
He's just buying pints for everybody.
That's funny. Charlie Welch says, no, but go ahead, sir. I just drink milk out of it. And Sarkis says, Reese, my nemesis. Aaron Reese is fast on it, man. He's fast on it.
If these leg issues don't fucking play out, he's going to end up showing up here more than I do.
All right. Well, for right now, I am writing down that Aaron Reese won that. And
Aaron Reese just said, I have a glass. Give it to Charlie Welch.
Give it to Charlie. Okay.
All right. So, Charlie Welch, you will get the pint glass.
Look at that. What a fucking champ.
I love our audience. And how
they're
awesome
amazing. These guys are amazing. They're amazing. And Charlie Welch says, I will accept it.
That's awesome. That's generosity right there.
Charlie Welch says, I'll accept it graciously. Plot hole, we couldn't possibly ignore you. Ever.
No.
Charlie Welch said, call in an early February birthday present.
Awesome. Okay. This is plot hole. This is Johnny O. This is a reference to a video I released on my personal channel. He says, say this word, zoology. It's zoology.
Yeah, zoology. That's
the word. And I said zoology.
No, it's zoology.
It's not zoology. What the hell is wrong with you?
You say zoo. It's Z-O-O. That's zoo. Then you
it's
put
not.
on
It's
the
not
end.
zoology. It's zoology. It's zoology.
What is the symbolism? What is the symbology?
What's the symbol? What's the symbology there?
Zoology. All right.
Later. Plot hole later.
Yes.
We'll discuss it later. Congratulations to Aaron Reese. Congratulations to Charlie Welch. We will get that pint glass printed and sent out to you ASAP.
And that brings another episode of Week in Horror to a close. Thank you all so much for listening, and we truly hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next week when we look back at the Manson-inspired splatter horror Snuff, the black comedy horror Spider Baby, the psychosexual medical horror in Excision, and the brutal remake of Martyrs. We'd like to send a special shout out to all of our amazing patrons who continue to help make Week in Horror the incredible success it has become. Thank you all so much. And you know all the cool artwork we have on the show in our limited edition t-shirts? Well, Week in Horror artist Joshua Olsen has opened up a store with all of his amazing designs. Check it out at www.badsamurai.store. Once again, www.badsamurai.store to see all the latest amazing additions to his shop. And visit us at weekinhorror.net, where you can find links to all of our episodes, our bios, our merch store at Teespring, and of course, enter your email for a permanent entry to win a mystery horror shirt every month, courtesy of $6shirts.com. For more horror entertainment, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where you get the daily splatter, a bit of horror movie info every day, right to your feed at our new gaming channel, Digital Darkness, where we play horror games with host Alien X Gaming. Definitely check that out. Please like, subscribe, and smash that bell like someone's head caught in a jigsaw trap for all the latest updates from the show. And be sure to leave us a comment. All those interactions really help us with the dreaded algorithm.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun,
dun. And lastly, if you truly love what we do here and you would like to and are able to support our production, you can through our Patreon. We have tiers as low as $1 a month. That's cheaper than a Friday the 13th throwaway victim. Higher tiers get early and special access, bonus content, monthly horror movies, and can even join us as special judges in our bloodbath debate. You can listen and judge. If we take your input and our decisions, you can affect the outcome. So definitely come check out our Patreons. But if Patreon is not your preferred cup of blood, you can also support the show through our PayPal as well. Links to everything, including our Discord community, where you can find film recommendations, trailers, trivia games, horror watch parties, and even interact with us directly, are in the description. Down there, down below. The people listening can't see where I'm pointing, but below.
Lower than Alex. Lower than Alex.
And as always, sharing this show with your friends and your local horror community is the absolute best way to help us continue to grow. Thank you all so much for being the greatest audience a podcast can have. And I'm Eugene.
I'm JL.
And Alex is there too.
Alex is there, like waving. It doesn't want to speak. I don't know what the heck is going on.
Alex is there. And we'll see you next week. And as always, stay scared.
Oh, I'm going to take this fucker out and shoot it.